Are we live?
Looks like we're live, Madam Chair.
Okay, great. Welcome to the Labor Subcommittee of Government, Labor, and Elections. I'm Subcommittee Chair Delegate Sheila Ruth. We do have quorum, so we will begin. The first bill we're going to take up is HB 1108. The bill sponsor is Delegate Vaughn Stewart. And Kyra, if you could, we have some amendments on this. If you could share screen, and
Over.
thank you.
And just
Um,
to bring the public up to speed, HB 1108 establishes collective bargaining rights for greenhouse employees. It requires the Secretary of Labor to adopt regulations and authorizes the Secretary to investigate and enforce an alleged violation. Additionally, each employer who operates a controlled environment agricultural operation must provide employees with paid rest breaks of at least 5 minutes for each hour that the heat index inside a controlled agricultural operation reaches and maintains at least 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And I will share a reprint of the amendments.
Great. And while she's bringing that up, let me just remind everyone, although we don't have any advocates in yet, but anyone who is not a subcommittee member is welcome to join, but may not speak or participate unless a subcommittee member wants to call on them to ask questions. And so subcommittee members, you are free to call on advocates. Just let me know who you would like to call on.
All righty. And so amendment number 1 is technical. And then amendment number 2 alters the oversight authority from this from the Secretary of Labor to the Maryland Public Employee Relations Board. Additionally, it clarifies that employee under the bill does not include an agricultural retail employee. And I'll just scroll through the amendments. And I believe that is it, Madam Chair.
Wait, there was something up, go up a little bit.
Sure.
What was that? Oh, whose job duties require working in a greenhouse or other enclosed structure? So that was for the heat regulations, right? Just,
Yes, this was the clarification of to exclude employees that work on the retail side.
okay, great, great. So first of all, Delegate Stewart, did you want to add anything or have any comments?
Sure, Madam Chair, thank you. So these amendments are designed to do two things. One, we're exempting workers, purely retail workers whose job is primarily or overwhelmingly retail oriented, who don't actually work in the greenhouse itself, just because that was never a category of worker that we were intending to get collective bargaining rights to. The second slate of these amendments regarding the board and who is responsible for what was just designed to eliminate or to minimize the fiscal note. So the reason that we're moving this out of the Department of Labor is because if you look at the fiscal note, you'll see that that had a cost attached. By moving this to the Public Employee Relations Board, they have told us and assured us that they can do this with no additional staffing. And so we are trying to make this as costless as possible to the Maryland taxpayer while also extending collective bargaining rights to a population that really should have never been left out of collecting bargaining rights in the first place.
Great, thank you. And we did receive an email from the chair of the Public Employee Relations Board saying that they can do this with existing resources. So any discussion on the amendments first? Delegate Terrassa, has this on the amendments or the bill?
It's a good question. So I just want to make sure I understand that the amendment that we were just talking about, the piece of the amendment that we were just talking about the I think it's on page 5, is that whose job duties require working in a greenhouse or other enclosed structure. So I understand what we're trying to exempt out is the retail side. Is that where that's trying to exempt the retail side out?
Yes.
Okay, and I guess that's what that language means. Like, it's not obvious to me. It's not obvious to me that that is just it sounds like, as long as that's correct, it just doesn't sound exactly like it says what it says, but I guess because of how you're defining the job duties, that excludes somebody who's just in the retail side.
Right.
I
And I
just don't want
think,
to exclude too many, sorry, Madam Chair. I
no,
just don't
it's
want to
okay.
exclude too many people.
Right. What I think this does is it excludes people, and I see Delegate Stewart's hand up. I'll let him address this, but I think it excludes people who are exclusively retail, but people who work in both areas still are covered by the heat standards because they do
Right.
work in the greenhouse.
Perfect.
Delegate Stewart, is that?
That's perfect. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no worries. Thank you, Madam Chair. So actually, if you scroll up to page 1 to the definitional section, that actually is the section that's doing the work on this issue of the retailers, because as you can see, there's a cross-reference in the section we just read, to employee. So then you just have to go back up to the definition of what an employee is. An employee is someone who's employed by a controlled environment agricultural operation and whose job degrees are work there, but then it does not include, as you can see in 2 there, an
Exclusively,
individual
yes.
whose job duties exclusively
Thank
involve the
you.
retail services.
Thank you for confirming that. I do believe I asked that question before, but I do appreciate you
No.
guys, your patience.
It's good to get everything clarified. So and Kyra, can you confirm that this language then excludes employees who are only on the retail side, but if they work in a greenhouse environment and retail, that this would cover them? Is that?
That's correct, Madam Chair. This language would exclude, excuse me, employees, for example, that work at Walmart, that receive collective bargaining rights in their duties at Walmart, but they may also work in the, for example, like the plant section of the department store
Thank,
and Home Depot workers also. Yes. So the language achieves that, yes.
thank you. Delegate Chisholm.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So on the fiscal note, I understand that the Public Employee Relations Board said they can handle it and they can it with existing resources, but does that then eliminate all the fiscal note? Because it was a pretty big fiscal note. How much of it was attributed to the board?
Um,
I
Delegate
didn't
Stewart,
get them.
Delegate Stewart, do you want to address that?
Yeah, so let me pull it up and see if there's a precise number. I mean, essentially the shorthand question, or a shorthanded answer to your question, Delegate Chisholm, is that it removes the vast majority of the fiscal note, because the fiscal note was grounded in basically the idea that the Department of Labor was going to have to hire some new pins to administer the collective bargaining piece. So if you go to the fiscal note, and by the way, it says my internet connection is unstable, so if you guys can't hear me, I apologize. But if you go to the fiscal note and you go down to state expenditures, which is page 4.
Yep.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay.
I can.
So it says that basically it says the department anticipates overseeing 9 or 10 elections under the bill, and they can't do that with existing resources. And so therefore, they have to hire one administrator to hear and resolve disputes, one administrative officer to investigate disputes, and one part-time assistant attorney general to draft regulations and provide legal advice. So our understanding is that they don't need to hire any of these people if the board is doing the elections, and so therefore it eliminates the fiscal note.
Okay. Thanks for the answer.
Great, thank you. Any other discussion on the amendments? Is there a motion on the amendments?
Move the amendments.
Second?
Oh, second. I thought you were seconding.
No, I'm
I wasn't
asking,
sure
is
about
there a
that
second?
either.
Sorry. I'll try to be more clear next time.
Okay.
Okay, so the movements have been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? No. Okay, all in favor of the amendment, say aye, or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that sounds great.
Abstain.
Who's abstaining?
Abstain.
Delegate Soliberti is abstaining.
Move the bill as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
Great. Any discussion on the bill as amended? Delegate Tarasa.
Yeah, I agree with the sponsor of this bill. that these folks should never should have been excluded in the first place. And I think it's a good bill and I support it.
Great. Thank you. Any questions for the advocates or any other discussion? All right, all in favor of the bill, say aye. Or raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay, all right, put your hands down. Any opposed? Delegate Chisholm is opposed. Any others? Delegate Soliberti is opposed.
Abstain.
Oh, Delegate Soliberti is abstaining. All right, so
Are we able to abstain?
I think we can abstain if there's a conflict of interest. Kyra, do you know, can you?
I am not completely sure on that. I can
Right.
step away for a second, get some
Thought
guidance if you'd like.
My understanding was if you were here, you had to vote. I mean to put you on the spot, Delegate Ciliberti, but
No,
that was
no.
my
Oh, it's
understanding.
okay. No, good point. I didn't realize that.
I would be curious on the answer.
My
I've never done it,
understanding, Madam Chair, my understanding was that you had to have an approved reason to abstain, but
As far as I know, Delegate Ciliberti is a greenhouse worker.
Oh, and unless he owns greenhouses, do you own greenhouses, Delegate Soliberti?
How many? I'm sorry,
Do you own any greenhouses?
not as of this morning.
Okay. Well, I think, Kyra, did you get an answer or should we?
Give me 1 second and I'll be right back.
Okay, thanks.
I don't mean to prolong this. We can figure it out
No,
later.
no,
I just
I believe that you are right. I just want to make sure we're following proper process.
Huh. I rarely abstain, but I was not part of the discussion at the beginning, so I didn't want to give my opinion.
Oh, I understand. Unfortunately, that's the way it goes sometimes.
Barry, you missed me giving an extremely impassioned and persuasive speech in favor of the bill. And I think if you would have heard that, I think your vote would have been clear.
I don't think there's any question. No question at all.
it
Well,
all went up in smoke.
I'm back. So there's no formal rule, against abstaining, unless, that's up to the preference of Madam Chair. If she has a preference to that, but there's no formal rule.
Okay, I know there are, rules in terms of the floor. I just didn't know if those apply to subcommittee. So, I guess, Delegate Soliberti, do you still want to abstain or did you want to vote?
No, if I'm allowed to, I'd like to abstain.
Okay, well, if it's up to me, then let's let you abstain. Don't want to
Thank
make
you
you
very
vote on
much.
something you didn't know. So, Kyra, do you have the vote count?
I do, with the exception of Delegate Chisholm and Delegate Ciliberti. That is 4-2. I didn't catch Delegate Schindler's vote. Okay, okay. So yeah, we're good with the bill as amended.
Great. The bill passes.
Passes, yes. Thank you.
Okay, great. So we are moving along. We're now going to look at HB 1241 with amendments from the sponsor. We did discuss this a little bit before, but it was sort of towards the end and there were some questions that came up. We're not going to take this one up for a vote, but did want to discuss the bill and the amendments and address some of the, discuss some of the questions or concerns that may come up. So Kyra, do you want to start?
Sure. HB 1241 alters categories of individuals whose death would allow an employee to use leave with pay for bereavement. Under the bill, bereavement leave would be allowed to be used on the death of an individual the employee had a qualified relationship with, including an immediate family member, grandparent, sibling, domestic partner, step relation, adoptive relation, foster relation, and de facto relation. There are amendments to the bill. I will share my screen on those amendments.
And these are, to clarify, these are sponsor amendments.
Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So amendment number 1 is technical. Amendment number 2 adds this language right here to the list of qualified relationships to include any other blood relation of the employee or the employee's spouse. And then amendment number 3 allows an employee to use leave with pay or unpaid leave for bereavement. And that is, oh, I scrolled past it. That is this language right here.
Great. So the bill as written does not add any new categories of leave. It just allows employees who already have leave with pay under either a company policy or a collective bargaining agreement to use that leave for bereavement for certain categories of people. And then the bill just adds to the categories of people that you can use it for in recognition of the fact that there are some other categories that, you might feel bereavement and want to go to the funeral for those categories of people as well. So the two parts of the amendment, as Kyra said, are the just really the first part I'm told is clarifying, but it says any other blood relation of the employee or the employee's spouse. So I want to start with that one. Delegate Truss, I don't know which one you have your hand up for, but let's start with the blood relation. Does anybody have any comments or discussion on
Yeah.
that?
So, sorry.
Go
Thanks.
ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I just want to clarify well, I have a question about what you said, which is that the bill as written doesn't add any categories.
No, it does.
Oh, it does. Okay.
It doesn't add new leave, but it adds.
Oh, I understand. Thank you. Thank you.
It adds categories of people who can take so if they have, for example, sick leave,
Yes.
they can also take it for bereavement. This doesn't change that. They can already do that. But what they can do it for is immediate family members. This adds the list that you see on your screen of people, and we're adding the sponsor amendment would add blood relation to that. So did you have any comment on adding blood relation?
Yeah, so that's expanding this list.
Yes. So for example, cousin is not on this list.
So I am fine with expanding it. I think we have different relations, we all have different sort of the way family looks in different people's families. But the term blood relation seems a little oddly limiting because you could have a step relationship or an adoptive, like if your adopted cousin, like if you're adopted and your cousin dies, it seems like that could be virtually the same as if you had a blood relation of a cousin. So I agree with the addition. I'm a little confused about the phrasing of it, just in terms of, especially for an adoptive family.
Well, it does say step relation in 5.
So would that include a step cousin?
I don't know the answer to that. Kyra, do you have any thoughts about that?
As far as a step cousin, I don't have an answer to that one. But I think an adoptive relation would cover maybe like a cousin if you are adopted in the family. So maybe it would not fit under any other blood relation of the employee, but if it is an adoptive relation, I think it would fall under that.
Okay. Well, then I support the amendment, and I think these are important. So thank you.
Thank you. Delegate Chisholm.
I know the lawyer is going to go behind me, so I'm hoping he can answer the question. But is blood relation defined anywhere in U.S. law or state law? I mean, it can be very vague. I mean, there's some families have 1,000 cousins. I hope nobody takes advantage of this, by the way. But if they did and push it, I'm like, blood relationship can be huge. I mean, look at the Osmonds. I mean, there's so many of them. But only Barry remembers the Osmonds. But I mean, that's a lot of people. This could be very broad. I looked up. I was trying to find it. I'm just gonna put the question out there. I'm hoping that the lawyer on the panel can answer that question for me.
Delegate Stewart.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I was going to talk about this too, and I think actually Delegate Chisholm is onto something here because there is no definition. I just looked definition of blood relation in the code, and so I actually think he has a cogent point here that employers or courts could theoretically construe this to be any ounce of shared DNA. Now, obviously, courts do generally try to construe legislative provisions away from absurd results. So I do think that if there was like a celebrity death and you use ancestry.com to like find that, you were actually their ninth cousin or whatever, and the employer denied that, the employer wins in court. I do think though that directionally Delegate Chisholm has a good point here, which is that we may want to try to think of a way to confine this a little bit more so that we're not opening up the door to, fourth cousins once removed, which I think based on my reading here would be blood relation.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I, while I like the idea of adding first cousin to this, for example, my son grew up very close to his first cousins to the point that they're like siblings to him, and he would certainly want to be able to take bereavement leave if one of them were to die. I don't necessarily think a fourth cousin once removed um, is, that's pretty far removed. Delegate Solidarity.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. At the risk of over legislating, don't you think that most companies, large or small, pretty well deal with this problem?
So I think some companies do. I don't know that I would say most. I think companies have, not all companies even have sick leave policies, and if they don't have sick leave, at least the bill as written doesn't allow them to take leave. It's not creating any new leave. It's basically just saying if you have paid leave, then you can take it for these categories of people. I don't know. I think to me it's useful. I don't know that everybody does, but it's a good question. Delegate Terrassa. Oh, I'm sorry, Delegate Soliberti, were you done or sorry?
I'm okay right now.
Okay. Delegate Terrassa.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I do think there, and I don't know how it is in the code itself, but sort of in terms of relations, I think there are certain degrees of relationships. So I'm sure there could be some refined language around that. I don't know how that fits into our existing legal language. But I mean, when you look at a family tree, I know there are certain degrees of distance from if that's what we wanted to do. I mean, because conceptually I like the idea. I don't disagree at all with Delegate Chisholm or Delegate Stewart on that.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's go down to the next amendment, which is the unpaid leave. So this would basically, if somebody does not have any earned leave or paid leave, this amendment would allow them to take unpaid leave. So is there any comments on that? No. Delegate Schindler.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Madam Chair. I had a little concern on that just because it doesn't read to me like it puts any safety rails in there for that. So it kind of leaves it open-ended as to how much unpaid leave someone can take. That gives me a little concern.
Okay, thank you. Delegate Stewart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So first on the first point, I agree with Delegate Schindler. It's not clear to me if this would be an indeterminate amount of leave. I think we did talk about this last week. I think we need to either we probably need to state some number of days. I think that's usually how it's done in state law for state workers, is they're given some number of unpaid days. So I think just saying that if you don't have paid leave, you get unpaid leave, I think opens up the possibility to like some kind of indeterminate, unending amount of leave. But to go back to the list again, I've been trying to tool this while other people were talking. Will you go back to the family list again? I know this is like such a pedantic point, but I think that like, first of all, a step relation is also really broad because you could be like a step fourth cousin,
True,
right?
true.
Like A foster relation could like, so I actually think the cleaner thing to do, I'm gonna like read out a list. I'm happy to, I just try to type it out, which it's what I think everyone basically agrees for the most part of what we're talking about here. I also think immediate family member is not a defined term under the code. So that's problematic too, because I don't know what that necessarily means. So I think it's better to say, right, for the whole list, I'll email it, but spouse or domestic partner, check. Everyone agrees with that. Parent or step parent, I think everyone would agree with that. Child or stepchild, I think everyone would agree. Sibling or step sibling. Grandparent, grandchild, parent-in-law, child-in-law, sibling-in-law. Because right now we have no in-laws in the picture. Aunt or uncle, niece or nephew, first cousin, and then crucially, I think, and this is just like a statutory drafting problem here, is we then need to say adoptive relation of any of the above, foster relation of any of the above, or de facto relation of any of the above. Because otherwise, by just saying adoptive, foster, or de facto, it actually blows it up way broader than those other categories, and they're not working in tandem. So anyway, that's my final lawyerly say on the enumerated list. I think that's like a cabin list. I think the most important thing to do on the, like, I agree, like we should expand it. Families are complex. It's the 21st century. Like I absolutely agree with the intent of the bill. I think what we don't want to do though is to make it vague, because then I think employers and employees aren't going to know when they can actually take advantage of this. So using terms like the immediate family or blood relation or all these things that are open to interpretation, I think is bad. I think clarity is good. And I think the things I just listed off is broad enough that it's an absolute real expansion of the current version of this law, but it's also cabined in a way that I think is like clear and that everyone understands who we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I see that's really good. I'll address that in a minute, but I see Kyra scrolled up to exactly what I was gonna ask her to scroll up to. Do you want to mention that, Kyra?
Yeah, under current law, immediate family is defined as a child, spouse, or a parent.
Oh, okay, great. I didn't find that. Okay, thank you, Kyra. Well, I guess then we can keep that in perhaps. And
But that's actually being amended out in the bill.
Yeah,
Oh, oh.
that
The
language is
list.
being repealed and I guess
Oh,
added to, but I mean,
I mean, not amended out, repealed. Yeah, sorry.
for purposes of clarity, we could always strike those brackets to keep that definition there.
okay. Yeah, that's probably good. I mean, we save like a little bit of text by just doing that instead of spelling out those categories. But yeah, okay.
Okay. Any other? We're almost out of time. So I think we've raised some really good questions here on these amendments. Any other questions or comments? I think Delegate Stewart, I like that list. If you could maybe write that out and send it to the subcommittee, so we can take a look at it and consider it. Let me just really quick before we leave, I see Nick Manis is on. Did you have any comments? I don't know what you're here for.
No, ma'am, I was just watching. I was here more for the first bill, but thank you for
Okay.
asking.
Sure. All right. Well, so I think we had a really, so we passed the HB 1108 and we will let the chair know about that. And we had a good discussion about the amendments on HB 1241, and Delegate Stewart is going to send out the list to everybody. And stay tuned. The next, but you all know between now and crossover is going to be crazy. We probably will be meeting multiple times at not normal times. So pay attention to your emails, pay attention to announcements on the floor. And I will see you in committee in 6 minutes. Thank you. We're adjourned. Sorry. I guess I should say motion to adjourn. Does somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A second?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're adjourned. Thank you.